Hello, BookTube. For this Tag Thursday, I'm going to be doing the Fictional Favorites book tag. This tag was created originally by Final Blow Joe, and I saw it yesterday on Steve Donahue's channel. So, before I begin, I do want to apologize for being absent the last 2 days. There was a tag I wanted to do on Tuesday, and I filmed a video and it didn't work. And then I tried again on Wednesday, and it still didn't work, so I'm just not going to do the tag. So, sorry about that. But hopefully this tag will meet with much more success. Let's get started. Now, before I begin, and Steve mentioned this tag was probably created with a more YA or fantasy intention to it. Some of the questions are very, very centered towards fantasy, which works for me because I do really enjoy fantasy. Okay. Let's get on with the prompts before I answer the questions, before answering the questions. Question number 1. Favorite genre? Science fiction and fantasy. I've always gravitated towards fantasy and science fiction. Even from my earliest memories, I've always really enjoyed stories of the fantastic. There were a few periods in my early teens when I gravitated more towards detective fiction. I had a pretty good sized Agatha Christie collection in mass market paperback, which those are the forms I really do like. But I've never really seen them since the 90s. There was one that was a white, like the covers were white except for a foil image of either Miss Marple or Poirot. And I'm forgetting what was used when the detective was neither Marple or Poirot. And then the other publisher used really cute paintings for the cover in a very sort of light hand, or a very light paintings. And then in my later teens and into my 20s, or like very early 20s, I kind of sort of had a brief affair with literary fiction, although, I mean, this probably tied into my college reading, but I still primarily focus a lot more, particularly in this period, on science fiction and fantasy, and my love of science fiction and fantasy has continued since college. So for most of my life, my favorite genres of fiction have been science fiction and fantasy. My favorite author, for question number 2, China Mieville. Now, there's a caveat here, and that is that I don't unreservedly love everything China Mieville has written. I don't think I unreservedly love everything any fiction writer has or author has done. I mean, there's a case for like nonfiction, but this tag is focused solely on fiction. So, yeah. So, like, my love of China Mieville rests largely on his boss log novels. A loose trilogy published in the very early 2000s that began with Perdido Street Station, continued with The Scar, and concluded with Iron Council. And these novels take place in a very weird, chaotic world called Boss Log. Most of the novels either taking place in or dealing in some fashion with the city-state of New Crobuzon, which is this weird, wild, crazy city that is both compelling and horrific at the same time. So I mean, I love those two novels. I'm also quite fond of the Kraken. It's a contemporary fantasy set in contemporary London. But the rest of his novels, Unlondon, King Rat, The City in the City, Embassy Town, I've never really gotten on with. So, and that is true for a number of writers. That I will like some of their work, and I will not like others of their work. But I think out of all of them, I would say China Mieville is my favorite. Prompt number 3, or question number 3. Favorite book? This one is a bit... Well, no, I should take that back. I'm going to go with Radiance by Catherynne and Valente. It is a alternate history space opera in which most of the planets in the solar system are habitable by humans. And the focus is on a filmmaker in the 1930s or 40s or so, trying to come to terms with the death of his daughter in the only way he knows how, which is to make a film about it. His daughter was a documentary filmmaker who disappeared during a filming expedition to Venus. And so her father goes through a number of sort of script revisions, trying to write his way into sort of coming to terms with her death and his own feelings about it, and never quite succeeding. It is a weird, brilliant, complicated book, and I just absolutely love it. And I'm thinking I will be rereading it next month after having not read it for about 2 years. I think it's been about 2 years since the last time I read it. Prompt number 4. Favorite land or environment? So this question has a number of answers. Basalog, definitely. I do love that setting. I also really love the China depicted in the Legend of the Condor Heroes novel or series, however you want to term that novel, by Yong. It is really, the descriptions are amazing. I also, moving into manga, I really love the setting that Naruto takes place in, and Earthland in Fairy Tale. I think that is, those visuals are just really, really well done. Not only landscapes, but also cityscapes. Prompt number 5, or question number 5, favorite spell. So, in this prompt, I'm going to do a bit of what Steve Donahue and Sam Sachs did yesterday in their video, in which I will talk about a superpower I would like to have. But I also do have a favorite spell, or I have a number of favorite spells. So my favorite spell is the Arc of Embodiment from Fairy Tale. It is a lost magic used by the villain Rusty Rose. He is a member of the Seven Kin of Purgatory, a subgroup in the Dark or Outlaw Guild, Grimoire Heart, who are the main antagonists of the Tenru Island arc, which will be a while before I get to. But Rusty Rose is one of my favorite villains, and I love his magic, which is he can use his imagination to create weapons or summon monsters or towers or whatever he really imagines. And it is a really visually stunning power set. I also like the enchantment powers of Irene Belsarion, also from Fairy Tail. She is one of the Spriggan 12 who form one of the main antagonist faction in the final arc of Fairy Tail. They are the overpowered bodyguards of Zeref, the ultimate co-main antagonist of Fairy Tail. As far as magic or as superpower, I would like to have. I think I'm going to be a bit greedy and not greedy at the same time. I would actually like reality warping. Reality warping is the ability to change the world, to rewrite the laws of physics and science and perception and all of that. In a way, it is kind of another way of saying magic, but I would like to, reality warping, so I could change the world enough so that a lot of people could have superpowers too, rather than just one person have superpowers. So that would be my choice for that. Question number 6. Favorite beast or creature? I'm going to go with Weaver in Perdido Street Station. The Weaver is a sentient giant spider-like being that sees the world in terms of aesthetic taste. And he helps the protagonist after he is convinced that the threat plaguing New Corpuzan and Perdido Street Station is something that he should prevent, that he should fight it. So he sides with the protagonists and helps them in a number of ways, all the while being a hoot to read. I would also like to add Happy from Fairy Tail, even though technically he is far more of a character, of a protagonist, than he is a beast or a creature. But Happy is an anthropomorphic sentient cat called an Exceed, who is Natsu's best friend, Natsu being the main protagonist of Fairy Tail. And so the Exceed, their primary magical power is they can form wings, although some Exceed have other powers as well. And they're from an alternate dimension to Earthland's reality. Prompt number 7. Favorite food. Again, there's really not a whole lot of food that's talked about a whole lot in fiction, whether it's science fiction and fantasy or anything else. Although, with Harry Potter and A Song of Ice and Fire, there's enough food mentioned to where there can be dedicated cookbooks for both. Or at least I'm pretty sure there's a Harry Potter one. I know there is a Song of Ice and Fire one, because there was a website called In at the Crossroads, or a blog, that every few days they would release a recipe inspired by A Song of Ice and Fire. But I'm going to go with my personal favorite food, and that would be 3. I do like pizza, and I do like fried catfish. They are both very special treats for a number of reasons. Namely, I've never I actually made it, cooked a pizza, which is something I would like to do. And catfish, I am banned from cooking catfish. So my favorite food to actually cook is, to cook are omelets. I love making omelets, and I'm quite good at them. In fact, I make omelets every Friday, so I will be making one tomorrow morning. Looking forward to it. Prompt number 8, my favorite beverage. Again, same thing as prompt or question number 7. My favorite beverage, I go with Dr. Pepper or Big Red. They are both soft drinks created in Waco, so it's a bit of a local loyalty that I really like, Dr. Pepper and Big Red. Question number 9. My favorite good character. So I'm interpreting this prompt as being the sort of big good character. And so I'm going to go with Gandalf from The Lord of the Rings. He is a wizard, more like an angel, who has been sent to Middle Earth to guide the humans against humans, elves, dwarves, against Sauron's machinations, without directly confronting Sauron himself. And Gandalf is a very, very interesting character. And I think my favorite Bigwood, although you could also make the case for Makarov from Fairy Tail. Yes, this has been and will be a very Fairy Tail heavy tag. My favorite bad or evil character or antagonist. For this one, I'm going to go with Zareth from Fairy Tail. He is a very, very tragic villain who power has essentially driven him partially insane. And he is just very fascinating. Question number 11. My favorite male protagonist. I would go with either Natsu Dragno from Fairy Tail. He is a young fire dragon slayer who loves a good fight, loves to adventure and protect his friends. He's just a really awesome character. And also Edward Elric from Fullmetal Alchemist. I really enjoy his character development, his drive, his goals. Question number 12. My favorite female protagonist. For this one, I'm going to go with Lucy Hartfilia from Fairy Tail. She's a young celestial spirit mage who starts the series off as being incredibly weak as a character, as a mage, but who, as the story progresses, her character development is just amazing. Not only, as a character, but also as a mage, where her progression is just wonderful to read. That was the fictional favorites book tag. Tomorrow, there are a few tags I would like to do, but I think I'm going to hold off and do them on Monday or next week, assuming I can remember. Because I do want to do the Olympic tag, at least, and the book buffet. Yeah, the book buffet tag. But I think tomorrow morning I'm going to do my Space Opera September TBR. And then, of course, tomorrow evening will be weekly reads, which at the moment will only be one book. So anyway, BookTube. Until tomorrow, thank you, have a great afternoon, and stay safe.